Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into one of the shortest, yet maybe one of the most powerful texts in all of Buddhism, the Heart Sutra. In just a handful of lines, it makes this incredible promise, a direct path to end all suffering. So, let's see how it does it.
Right out of the gate, the sutra hits us with this powerful statement. It tells us about this figure, Avalokiteshvara, who sees one fundamental truth about how everything works. And just by seeing it, they overcome every single kind of human pain. And get this, it's not just a nice idea. It's presented as something totally achievable, a direct result of a specific kind of insight.
So, that brings up the big questions, right? What in the world does it mean for things to be empty? That sounds kind of strange. And how can an idea like that possibly be the key to freeing us from suffering? Well, that's the journey we're going on. From understanding the problem of suffering to unpacking the incredible insight at the heart of the solution.
Okay, before we jump to the answer, we really have to get a handle on the problem. The sutra isn't talking about having a bad day or some minor frustrations. It's digging into that deep, universal human experience of what's called ku-e, this profound sense of suffering and distress that, let's face it, touches every single one of our lives. And its definition of suffering is incredibly thorough. I mean, it starts with the physical stuff none of us can avoid, right? Being born, getting older, getting sick, and eventually, death. But then it goes deeper, into the psychological pains we all know so well. That sting of wanting something you can't have, or the heartbreak of being separated from someone you love. And finally, it points to this even deeper existential ache, just this constant low-level hum of anxiety that comes from trying to cling to things in a world that's always changing.
So, the million-dollar question, how do we get beyond all that? The sutra's answer is a special kind of wisdom. It's called prajna paramita, or the perfection of wisdom. Now, this isn't about being book smart or winning a trivia night. It's a direct, gut-level seeing of one crucial aspect of reality, emptiness.
And we have to be super clear here, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. When we hear the word emptiness, we immediately think of a void, of nothingness, like a black hole. But that's not it at all. The sutra is pointing to something called Bijing-kong, or ultimate emptiness. It's not that things don't exist. It's that they don't exist all by themselves. Everything is connected. Everything is always changing. Everything is full of potential. It's actually a really positive and dynamic way of seeing the world.
So what exactly is supposed to be empty? The sutra zooms in on these 5 things, the 5 aggregates or uyun. You can basically think of these as the building blocks of every single moment of your experience. There's your physical body, your feelings, your thoughts, your impulses, and your awareness. We tend to lump all these together and call it me, a solid, unchanging me, but the sutra makes this really radical claim. If you look closely, every single one of these is empty of a fixed, separate self. All right, so let's see how this actually works, starting with the part of our experience that feels the most solid and real, our physical bodies and the world around us, what the sutra just calls form. This line right here is probably the most famous line in all of Buddhist literature. And it's wild. It's not saying your body is fake and some weird emptiness is the real deal. It's saying they're 2 sides of the very same coin. The physical world is this emptiness. That very lack of a fixed, permanent self is what allows tables and chairs and our bodies to even exist and change in the first place. But why? Why is form empty? Well, first off, it's impermanent. Your body is changing right now as you're listening to this. Cells are being replaced. It's never the same from one moment to the next. Second, it's interdependent. You're not a solid thing. You're a temporary collection of stuff from the universe: earth, water, air, energy. And third, it's conditional. It only exists because a whole bunch of causes and conditions came together. Take one away, and the form changes. It has no independent essence of its own. Okay, so that's the physical world. But now, here's where it gets really interesting. The sutra takes that exact same logic and applies it to our inner world, to our thoughts, our feelings, everything we think of as our self. Yep, just like our bodies are in constant flux, so is our mind. The other 4 aggregates, our feelings, our perceptions, our mental habits, even our awareness itself, they're all empty too. They're not solid things we own. They're more like a flowing river, constantly moving, constantly changing. Just think about any experience you have, even a simple one. It's like a chain reaction. It starts with a raw feeling, a sensation. Bam, your mind instantly labels it. Oh, that's a pleasant sound. Based on that label, a reaction forms. I like that. I want more. And consciousness is just the space where this whole process is happening. So, where in that seamless flow is the solid,
permanent you that's in charge. It's just a process. So this brings us right to the heart of the Sutra's promise. What's the big deal? What actually happens when we stop just thinking about this and start to truly see it? What's the practical result of realizing that our body and our mind are empty?
This right here is the payoff. A mind with hindrance, as the Sutra calls it, is a mind that's convinced it's a solid, separate self. And because of that, it's always grasping, always defending, always afraid, because it feels like it has this precious thing to protect and lose. But a mind without hindrance, a mind that sees emptiness, is like a wide-open sky. Thoughts and feelings can drift by like clouds, but nothing sticks. That is the essence of freedom.
And that leads directly to the next step. If there's no solid me to protect, then what is there to be afraid of? Think about it. Our deepest fears, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of not being good enough, even the ultimate fear of death, they are all tied to this idea that there's a permanent self that needs to be defended. When that illusion starts to dissolve, fear just doesn't have anything to grab onto anymore.
And this is how the Sutra wraps it all up. It doesn't call this wisdom a mere philosophy, it calls it a mantra, a powerful, transformative force. It's a great, bright mantra because it's like a light that shines in the darkness of our confusion. And then it says, emphatically, this is true and not false. In other words, this isn't just wishful thinking, it's a description of how things actually are, a truth that can, just as promised, eliminate all our suffering.
So in the end, the Heart Sutra leaves us with this powerful personal invitation. It asks us to look at our own lives, at our own minds, to notice what we are clinging to so tightly. Maybe it's an old hurt, an opinion, an idea of who we are, and it asks us to gently question, is that thing really as solid and permanent as it feels? What might happen if we just loosened our grip, even a little bit? That's the path it shows us, a journey from the prison of suffering to the wide open sky of freedom.